Hello and welcome to our on-demand demo series of our banking and treasury automation solution for Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O. In this video, we will demonstrate the module Bank Statement Automation. This module is part of all our standard bundles, but can also be purchased as standalone or separately. With this module, you can automate the bank statement reconciliation process, minimize manual intervention, and reduce the risk of errors and compliance issues. Now let's explore the module in Microsoft Dynamics. If you go to the Treasury Automation Suite, you will have periodic, bank, and auto-created statements. You can expect to receive a statement per day that is automatically imported from the File Hub server. This is the screen you would normally work with when you do your bank statement reconciliation. As a default, you will view the unreconciled statements. This can be changed so that you can see all the reconciled statements, but as a default, it will be the unreconciled statements, as those are the ones you would start to work on. Down here, you have filtering options. Here, you can filter on company. You can do statement reconciliation across legal entities. So if you have shared service centers, then you can be in one legal entity and do the reconciliation across legal entities. If you select Company, that will select the list of bank accounts. If you don't select anything, you will see the bank accounts across the legal entities which are included in the organization hierarchy. And the organization hierarchy is with purpose of bank statements. So it's a purpose SKG delivers when installing the module. Again, if you don't select the bank account, you will see statements across all your bank accounts and across legal entities. Here, you should be able to see all the statements you have. If you know which statements to work with, you can type it or you can select it from the list. In this case, we would like to work with this one. And if we select it, it will come up with the opening balance, ending balance, and what is not yet reconciled, and what's not yet matched on that statement. It will tell you how many transactions have been imported. It will also tell you how many of those have not yet been matched against a transaction. And it will show you how much that was automatically created or matched during the import of the statement. The percentage won't change even though you get everything matched, because this is meant to only calculate during the import of the statement. So it calculates what is automatically done during the import of the statement. Down here, you have the lines from your statement. You have different match indicators and different actions. Match means that you would try to match it to something that was already posted in AX. So if you create the vendor payments journal and post it as you receive feedback from your bank that everything is okay, then you would expect that those transactions are already posted to the bank account and you can match against them. You have customer settlements, where we would be looking for a customer invoice to settle against. You have Create General Journal. For these ones, you would create a general journal during the import of the statement based on the rule setup. And if you start looking at this one, you can go to your transaction reconciliation rules, and here you can see that it created a general journal. You have the general journal number here. You can see that it has a partial ID for sweep. So, it found and created this transaction based on the information in this sweep. Here you have the text from the statement. You can see that based on information in this text, in this case an IBAN number, it's created a transaction in the journal. And if we jump to the journal, go to the lines. Here, you can see 4 lines were created during the import of the statement. You can see that 2 of them were created with posting to a ledger account. You can set it up with dimensions. So if you have to post with dimensions, you can do that. That could also be a fee, interest. It could also be based on different information you would like to post, like this one, which is sweeps. Based on the IBAN number you're posting to a different bank account, you can select this. This functionality requires that the parameter for multiple vouchers, one voucher, is enabled in General Ledger Parameters. Basically, everything requires that that is enabled. As default, it will be disabled in D365. It is possible in the configuration to decide whether you want to have this automatically posted or if you would like to post it afterward. If it is chosen to not automatically post, you would have to go to the General Ledger. You would have to go to the posted journal, back to the statement, and then match it against the posted transaction. If it's done automatically, everything is done during the import. Going back, you also have some matching down here. If you're standing on this line, you can go into the transaction reconciliation rules. You can see that it found this matching based on a date and amount. So it looked at the bank account in cash and bank management, and on the transaction it found a matching amount. If you look at one of the customer settlements, you can go to My Transaction Reconciliation Rules and see how it was found. In this case, you can see down here on the customer settlement, it used the eBank Customer Group ID default. It used the settlement lookup type, remittance text data, and the payment equals invoice balance. And it used action step number 4. Based on this, you get some information on how it found these invoices. You can reverse this transaction. When you reverse it, it will unsettle and it will post to the customer account. It will settle against the original payment. It will post to the bank account, and both the new and the original transactions will be cleared against this statement. Then you can find another customer and another invoice to settle against. Now we're looking into the one that is a customer settlement where it's green. So, everything was done during the import. It found the invoices based on the text. At the top of the screen, you have the statement line. Here you can see your bank transaction. This was created during import. This is what it was matched to. Down here, you can see the note field with text coming from the statement. In this case, we have a couple of invoice numbers. Down here, you can see the 3 lines that were created automatically during the import of the statement. In this case, it found 2 invoices, as you can see here. It created 1 line for the rounding difference. There was a small difference here. You can set that up by using the standard parameters in Accounts Receivable and the penny difference account in GL. Based on that, it will create these small variances. Here you can see it found the invoice. It considered the cash discount, and it will also use the method of payment if you have set up grace days in the method of payment. That will be used as well. Because we have set it to automatically post, all of this is automatically posted during the import of the statement. So that's the good scenario where it finds everything during the import of the statement based on the information available in the statement. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. So if you go back and find one which is not green but red, red means that it couldn't find an invoice, or something was wrong, or it simply didn't match automatically. So if you look at Transaction Reconciliation and click on that, here at the top of the screen, you have a statement line. Here you can see the difference on the statement line. You can see dates, statement numbers, and bank transaction codes. Again, you could select an existing transaction here. So, if you want to match it to something that already exists, you can select that, and when the difference reaches 0, you can post it. Or, you can combine it by matching something here. Then you could combine it with new journal lines. So, if you had a vendor payment with an exchange rate variance, you could match it to that existing transaction and create a new journal post-it in variance away. Once again, you have your notes down here. These two can be removed. So this is the imported text from your statement. Here you can see that we have some invoice numbers. You can also find invoices based on the document number. You can find it based on a payment ID, reference ID, sales order ID, bill of lading, etc. Or you can find your customer based on an IBAN number, VBAN number, or customer ID. All of that can be used to find customers or customer invoices. In the user note type, you have the possibility to add more information. So, if you know that they will have different invoices to search for, because they paid them all with one transaction, you can copy the invoice numbers in here, or you can type them in here. This is risky as you could, by accident, delete this line. Then you have a user note type here or a note type called original. You will never be able to change original, so this one is the original note from the statement, and you wouldn't be able to change that. The last one we have is search. If you have customers who are sending you emails with attachments with a list of what invoices they have paid, you can copy the invoice numbers into the field. There are no limitations to the number of characters. You can search for thousands of invoices at the same time just by copying them into this search field down here. If you go back to the user and push Analyze, it will search for the invoice numbers in the text or customers or whatever it could be. It will search depending on your configuration. So, you can configure it to search with a specific legal entity, or you could configure it to search across legal entities depending on your setup. If we go down here, it has now created your 5 invoices to be settled down here. You now have the possibility to make some corrections. In this case, you don't want to give them 245 Danish crowns of discount, so you can change the discount amount to another amount. And it will calculate the discount percentage and update the transaction amount. Or you could change the percentage. Say you would like only to give them 2%, and that should change the amount and update the transaction amount. You could also say that you would only pay 4,000 and not the full amount. Now it will tell you that it's now a partial payment instead of a full payment. Over here, you can see the original invoice amount. You can see the balance of the invoice, what is available for settlement on the invoice, the discount amount, and so on. And you also have the original dates here. So that gives you some information on your invoices. If the statement difference till doesn't zero out up here, you have the option to add lines down here. You can create a new line, and in this case, say it is a vendor we would like to post against. So you can select Vendor, then select Vendor Account, and then you have 2 different options. You can load all your transactions related to that vendor. If you push this button, it will bring in all open transactions for this vendor, if there are any. In this case, it seems that there are none. or you can select an invoice number here. So, if you have an invoice here, you can select it and settle that one. If you go down here, you can see some of them are already marked, which could be lying in the payment journal for settlement somewhere. But this one is not marked. We could select this one and say Full Settlement, and that will now be taken into consideration. So it will move the amount into the transaction amount, and you can now settle that against the same payments as your customer or select a different customer. You can post directly to a ledger account. Start by creating a new line. You can then select Ledger. Type in whatever your ledger account is, and put in an amount here. When all of this goes to zero, check up here at the very top. You can see that there is now a difference of minus 3,457.46. Say you decide that this is what you need. You haven't received any further information from the customer, so you will put the remaining amount on account on this customer. So if you select the customer account, you can simply push this button, Remainder on Account. That will create a line for the customer. And if you go to the bottom of this screen, you now have Remainder on Account transaction appearing. And when all of this is done, you can scroll up to the top, and here it now gives a zero difference. You can now push the Post button, and it will automatically move to the next available transaction, which would be a red one. On top of this, there is one thing we would like to show you which is related to the statements process. So, if you are receiving your statements automatically from the bank through an integration, it happens occasionally that the bank doesn't provide it or there's something wrong with the integration. Normally, you would like to receive some kind of notification about the fact that you haven't received a statement as expected. SKG have made a Statement Monitor, and you'll find the Statement Monitor up here. You set up a country-specific holiday calendar and link it to your parameters in the specific company. You can decide per account whether you want to use the monitor or not. If you have activated the Statements Monitor, it can send an email to a person, a group of people, or a shared inbox, telling whether you've received the statement or not. If it shows up as missing, it means you didn't receive your statement as you should. Skipped would mean that it was a bank holiday. Of course, it takes weekends into consideration. Found means that it found the statement, and this is the total of bank accounts included. If you go to our statement details, you have some missing statements. And here you can see a list of all the accounts where it didn't receive a statement. So it's a help to make sure you receive what you should every day. Again, it is configurable. You can set it up per company, per bank account, or whether you want to use it or not. You also have a bank statements reconciliation view, meant to help doing the reconciliation between the statement and what you have posted in the Cash and Bank Management module. Looking at the statements used just before, you can see every unreconciled statement, and you can see the opening and ending balance. You can see the statement transactions that are not yet cleared against this statement. Here you can get a list of those transactions, which will give you a list of the ones you need to do something about. It calculates an ending balance. It gives you what has been posted to the bank account, and it also gives you the bank transactions which has not been cleared against the bank statement. So here, you can see a list of all the bank transactions which has not been cleared against a statement. It calculates an ending balance and hopefully that should go into zero. This doesn't in the view we are showing because it has a lot of test data. But overall, this view is meant as a help to do reconciliation between the statement and the cash and bank management module. Thank you for watching the demonstration of SKG's Bank Statement Automation module for Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O. If you have any questions, you can reach out to our sales representatives by calling +45 22 88 0000 or contact us via our website www.skg-services.eu.